So hello everybody. Today we will make a basic and simple tutorial with the PMDG MD 11 used in my multi-monitor touchscreen setup, and I decided to make this tutorial considering that this aircraft by PMDG is really outstanding, and you can't find many tutorials of it on the YouTube. So okay, let's get into the cockpit and let's start up the aircraft. Okay, we are seated inside the cockpit now, and we are going to start up the aircraft, and in order to do that we will focus on the overhead panel. First thing that we have to do is to switch on battery power, which is this. So we take up the guard and set the battery on. External power is available, as you can see, so we switch external power on. And we go ahead with the cockpit preparation. So we set the emergency power to arm position, like this, and switch on the emergency lights. Set the seatbelt and no smoking to auto, and set the beacon here to the on position. We also switch on the nav lights. Now before starting the APU we have to do the APU fire test. Red light on the handle here, and down to the main panel. Check that all the messages of the engine fire are active. So we reset the master warning. That's a positive test. So get back to the overhead. Next step is to switch on the IRS panel, channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3. Cargo fire test automatically switch on. Getting back to the main panel, we can see that every monitor is alive. The main panel of the MD11 is composed by 4 monitors, and in order to have them visible at once, there's an option here. I can choose the 4th monitor to be partially visible, simply clicking on it like this, and if I want the monitor to be visible again, I click on it again and it will become completely visible. Okay, so let's let the gear lever reappear again, and now we can go down to the pedestal panel in order to start the FMC setup. First of all, we have to make sure that our database is updated, and that's the case. So we can go to the flight plan initialization page, which is the first step, and the first window that we have to compile is this. This is the route window, and we have to input departure airport here from, and the destination airport here. This will be a flight from Malpensa Airport. We are actually parked at Malpensa Airport, Lima India Mike Charlie, to Roma Fiumicino, which is Lima India Romeo Foxtrot. So we insert departure and destination, Lima India Mike Charlie / Lima India Romeo Foxtrot, and we have to maintain, as you can see, the same format of the window, so departure / arrival, and we insert this in the right one button. Next we have to indicate an alternate airport, and for this flight we will indicate Lima India Romeo November, which is Napoli Capodichino Airport. Return to the flight plan, and this is the window where we have to put the name of the flight. So this is a Lufthansa cargo flight, so LH, for example, 8569. Okay, here we have to input the cruise level for our flight, which in our case will be 330. And the cost index here, we can put 80, which is a good value for this flight. Okay, so now the page is complete, and we initialize the IRS pressing this button, and we can go to page 2. This is the weight initialization page, and we have to input here the takeoff gross weight and the zero fuel weight, together with the takeoff CG and the zero fuel weight center of gravity. In the first window, you have to put in the block fuel on board. Actually, the aircraft is refueled with 6.8 tons of fuel, as you can see. And for this flight, we have scheduled 30 tons of fuel, so we actually have to refuel the aircraft. And in order to do this, there is a shortcut here provided by PMDG, here, refueling, and we use this to put 10 tons of fuel on each of the 3 tanks, like this. Now we push the start button, and the aircraft will start refueling. Okay, now the tank number 2 is actually refueling, as you can see. And if we go to the overhead, you can see that tank number 2 is actually refueling. Okay, so back to the FMC, and now we have to wait a few minutes for the aircraft to be refueled. So see you in a minute. So okay, the aircraft is now refueled, so we can get back to the initialization page. And now, as you can see, the fuel on board is 30 tons, so we can put 30.0 tons of fuel in the block fuel page. Next, we have to put in the zero fuel weight, and there is a feature that automatically calculates this for us. Is the zero fuel weight in this case is 2 209.2 tons, and we place it in the correct window here. And we have to put in the zero fuel weight CG in the same, and we do the same thing. We keep it pressed for a second, and the system automatically tell us that the zero fuel weight CG is 20.1. So we insert this. Now the aircraft automatically calculates the center of gravity of the aircraft. After a few seconds you will see it appear here. Here we go, 23.9. So this is the center of gravity of the aircraft, and we have to put this into the FMC. So 23.9 in this window, which is the takeoff center of gravity window. Okay, weight initialization is actually complete. And now we can go to the flight plan page, pressing this button here. Okay, here we can see the departure airport, which is Milano Malpensa, Lima India Mike Charlie, and the arrival airport, which is Lima India Roma Foxtrot, Roma Fiumicino. Between the two, there are no points because we have still to insert the flight plan. So the first step is to input the standard departure from Milano Malpensa. And in order to do that, we have to push the left one button near Lima India Mike Charlie and press SID, which stands for standard departure. Here there are all the departure for Lima India Mike Charlie, and in order to insert the correct departure, we have to, for just a minute, check the charts. Okay, like this. So for this flight, we are scheduled for an IRCAD 5 Echo departure. So from runway 35 left, bearing 340, we have to intercept the 320 radial from Malpensa VOR, and then we have to go 6 miles over this radial, and at 3,000 or above, 3,000 feet or above, we will begin a right turn, intercepting the radial 305 from Trezzo VOR, and bearing 125 we will go for 7 miles toward the IRCAD waypoint at 6,000 feet or above. So we have to insert this into the FMC, but before doing that we have to also check to our transition. This is the departure, which is IRCAD 5 Echo, and the transition from IRCAD waypoint, you can see it here, is the ECPAL 5 Yankee transition. So from IRCAD to Saronno VOR, then bearing 131 for 41 miles direct to picot point at or above flight level 90, and then direct to ECPAL waypoint, which is here at or above flight level 195. So we get back to the FMC and insert this departure, both the departure and the transition, into the FMC. So runway, these are the runways, and the runway is 35 left. The SID, the departure, the standard departure is, as we saw, IRCAD 5 Echo, and we select it. And the transitions, you have the transition here, is ECPAL 5 Yankee, which is here. So we insert this transition. And now, in order to insert the plan, we have to push this button, and when we will do this, you will see the route appear here in the navigation display. So let's do that. Insert. Now we have all the waypoint on the FMC from runway 35 left down to ERCAT waypoint, and as you can see in the navigation display we have the route correctly displayed. So getting back to the FMC for a minute, you have to complete the route insertion, and in order to do that we have to clear all the discontinuities. Last point inserted is ECPAL, which is the last waypoint of our transition, and from ECPAL we enter the airway. So if we press the button near to ECPAL, you will have here the airway page. So we press the airway page, and here you have to choose the airway and indicate the last waypoint of the airway here. So the airway for our flight is the Q705 airway. So we insert this Q705, and the last point of the airway is XIBL. So we insert it, XIBL, and we place it here. We insert this, and now we have all the waypoint from ECPAL down to XIBL. Now we clear the discontinuity between XIBL, which is the last waypoint of our route, and Lima India Roma Foxtrot, which is the arrival airport. So clear, and we clear the discontinuity, and we will insert the standard arrival while on cruise from XIBL to Lima India Roma Foxtrot. Okay, we are at a good point here, and the last thing that we have to do is to go to the takeoff approach page, where we have to indicate the temperature, the flap setting, and if we want the parameter for the flex takeoff in order to make speed calculation possible. So for this flight we want to derate the engine in order to save the engine life, and we indicate the temperature which is higher than the actual temperature, in this case 54 degrees, and we place it here. And the flap setting is for this flight is 15 degrees. In this window we have to indicate the slope of the runway, but in Flight Simulator we don't, all the runways are flat, so we don't have any slope, and so we indicate 0. And as a last input we have to put in the actual temperature here, which is 7 degrees Celsius. So the correct format is 7C, which stands for 7 Celsius. Now the system has calculated the speeds V1, VR and V2 and asked us to check and confirm those speeds. To confirm the speeds we have to press the button, lateral button near each speed, and they will become bold. Doing this will allow speeds to be inserted into the primary flight display so we get back to the FMC and confirm each speed. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now if you look again to the primary flight display, you can see that bits are actually inserted into it. Okay, so the FMC phase is actually complete, and we can proceed with the startup of the aircraft. Now what we have to do is to set up this part of the cockpit, which is the AFIS panel here and the autopilot section, which is here. So the first thing that we have to set is the correct baro set, the pressure over the airport. You can read the pressure here on the primary flight display. In this region, actually is 29.92, and if we set it to millibars, pressing this button, it comes to 1013. So in order to put in the correct pressure, we have to listen to the ATIS, so we have to get back to the pedestal panel, and here you have the radio panel, where we have to put in the ATIS frequency, which is in this case 122.0. So we set up it to 122.0. Okay, and from the this is the standby window. We have to transfer this value into the active window, pressing this button. So 1006 is our pressure, and we have to set it on this knob. So 1006. Okay. Next, we are proceeding with the AFIS panel setup, and we activate traffic and data. You can see it there. Traffic is to display the traffic on the navigation display, and data will give us information on each waypoint. We select VOR1 and ADF2 to be visible, and I think that the AFIS programming setup is basically complete. Now we go ahead with the autopilot section, and here we have the speed of the aircraft, and we leave it to 250 knots, which is the speed that we have to maintain under 10,000 feet. In the heading window, we will put in the heading of the runway, of 35 left runway, which is 348 in our case. Okay, like this. And in the altitude window, we put the clearance for our initial clearance, which is 6,000 feet. So 6,000 feet. Okay, and we are done. Now we can start up the aircraft. So we go back to the overhead, and proceed with the startup procedure. So first step is to switch on the APU, and this is the button, the APU power button, so switch this to on, and you can see a light flashing here, and the APU power will be available when the light will stop flashing. Okay, so APU power is available now, and the next step is to go to the air panel, which is this panel here, and switch on the APU air in order to give pressure to all the 3 packs here. So we do this, APU air on, and you will see that the 3 packs will come to the on position, and you can hear air flowing into the cockpit. After this, we have to switch on the auxiliary pump number 1 in order to give pressure, hydraulic pressure, to our systems and our brakes. So we switch on the auxiliary pump here, and you will see the system 3 light go off. So now we have pressure for the brakes, and we set the brakes to on position. Okay, brakes set. And as the last item, we have to switch on the engine ignition in order to start up the engines. So we will do it now, and when I will press the engine ignition button, automatically all the 3 packs will come in the off position in order to give pressure to the engines for the startup. Okay, so you see all the 3 packs are now in the off position, and you can hear the air in the cockpit anymore. So we are ready. We can call for the pushback.